I feel like a lot of people in advertising and performance marketing, we sort of had a similar journey. We all kind of ended up there. And for me, it started as a Google contract in 2018. Okay. Around that time, I got a call from a recruiter who hired me for Google because I speak a lot of different European languages. Spent 2 years at Google as a contractor, had a really, really good time. Instantly fell in love with Google Ads. Till this day, I just find it, the feeling when you look into an account and you see, spending 10 G's and 50 coming back, it's just awesome, it's a big win-win when it works. So really fell in love with that. I worked with big companies, small companies at Google, but had a tremendous time and fell in love with the tool. And really took the opportunity to learn everything I can because it seemed like such a powerful thing to me at the time. Left around 2020, beginning of COVID, and started LB24 together with my partners, Ugas and Diego, based in Germany. Awesome guys. We've had some previous touch points of like previous brands they had. And together we started this box spring bed brand. And, no one knew at the time, 2020, that Ecom would completely blow up. Like this was just next level, So we started running the first campaigns and things were just blowing up and we couldn't even keep up with the scale. So did that for about 2 years, scaled it to about 2 million a month and tried our best to hold it there. But obviously in the meantime, a lot of other people in my network started doing e-commerce, right? So they were all like, oh, Arian, you was at Google, you've got your brand, you're running Google Ads, like check my account, like go over my account, do an audit for me, right? So start doing these. Then at some point we had some staff, like 1 or 2 freelancers, employees. I'm like, okay, right, cool. You go do that audit, right? And at some point we found ourselves doing like 10 audits a week for free and like doing little gigs here and there. And I'm like, you know what? Brands scaled up. Like, this is German market. We're not going to scale to 10 million with these beds. We're kind of going to stay here. Let's capitalize on this Google Ads skill that we have. And we start basically turning it from just a brand into a brand and boutique agency. And that's sort of been the focus for the past 2 years, is maintaining the brand, continuing to grow it and growing Cyrus as a boutique agency. And that's sort of why I've not really been active in this space until like 2-3 years ago. But since then, we've been able to grow really well. Strictly focus on Google Ads and e-commerce. That's what we're good at, No meta, no big lead gen cases, no info, nothing. Like Google Ads, e-com, that's what we're really good at. And that's been the journey until here.
Amazing. Well, thank you for sharing that with me. And I'd say almost as well, even still being a little bit modest, because you've almost coined the term the Google guy. You spoke recently at Affiliate World.
Yep.
I think you've actually done quite a fantastic thing. Like you say, even if it's only been the past 2-3 years where you've really been pushing it.
Yeah.
You get a lot of views on your YouTube channel.
Yeah.
And clearly very, very successful in your own right. So
appreciate it.
Hats off to you.
Thank you.
So that's how you've got to where you are today. Now, as we are in Dubai, I know you've got your business that's operating in Germany, which is your agency and your e-com business, but you spend half of your year out here in Dubai. How long have you been in Dubai now?
I've got to Dubai, I think it was in October of 2022.
Okay.
Yeah.
And the reason I ask is because since that time, you've also built a very extensive network out here, and you've built, from what I understand, although I don't know too much about it, an e-com community in some sense that is also known as the Made Men. So maybe you could share a little bit about that. I mean, how you were able to network in the way that you have done to build that community out here. And
for sure. So it's been very interesting. It's been a very interesting journey, and Dubai has been a very, very interesting part of it. I came here actually in 2022, October, with my co-founder, Diego from LB24, from the brand, to sort of celebrate growing the brand for the past 2.5 years. And I instantly fell in love with the place, I think it's something that all entrepreneurs can appreciate. Like, we've all kind of had the same thing where we, like, in our hometown, and we finally found a way to sort of make it, and we try and pull people up, in our environment, but it doesn't really always work. And sort of at some point you kind of become alienated and you stick out a little bit in a bad way, but you're struggling because you're not having a network of peers that you want. So Dubai was super interesting for me because it's just OP and everyone's doing stuff. So really had a really good time here over the past now 3 years. Met some people that, played a pivotal role, entered my life and played a pivotal role. One of them being Carl Weisch, I would say my best friend at this point, with whom I've shared so many experiences. They were also Dubai based. Actually, I think the first day we met, Carl hit me. I was like, yo, let's link up. Said, cool. And we're like, okay, should we do like a big car day tomorrow? And we rented like 50 supercars and just did like an insane thing, you know? Yeah. So we kicked it off like that. Another good friend of mine is Tam Khan, owner of TK MMA. Also been, you know, really good friend, and also in a way, you know, on a personal level, learned a lot from him. And also through him, tapped in obviously into a massive network of influencers and fighters and all that kind of stuff. So those two people really played a big role in my life here in Dubai, and just, you know, allowed me to get to know the city, get to know the people, make somewhat of a name. And that's sort of where Maidman came from, because Carl and I, we sort of had that Ecom network. We know everyone, most people know us. And then obviously in Dubai, obviously knew also a lot of people, and we decided, you know what, let's bring everyone together. Like, I don't know if you've been to any Ecom events, but I've been to a handful before doing Maidman, and they were horrible.
Yeah,
you know?
Yeah.
It's like you go in and like within 5 minutes, you know, you're being sieged by like 5 business development people who try and sell you stuff you don't need.
It feels very corporate.
Horrible.
Whereas I find the closer sort of networking groups or the masterminds are really where the value is shared, and it's less sales, more value, and value leads to sales anyway. So,
100%.
You know, everyone wins.
Yeah. Very important what you mentioned. I think that's like, you know, on the front end, Maidman stands for different things, but in the back end, I think that's really, you know, the core value that Carl and I have. Like, I agree with you. I think masterminds, like paid masterminds especially, you can get a lot of value from them, but still they're like 5k, 8k, 10k, 20k, insane prices. And more time, there's like a few value nuggets and 1 or 2 cool people, and the whole thing is just a pitch for a bigger annual mastermind. So we trying to do everything different with Maidman. So first of all, we challenge that whole thing. Like, it's extremely vetted. Like, hands down, I've not been at an event with high caliber people. Like, when we do a mastermind, it's 38-figure brand owners, and there's not a single service provider. Like, we've had agencies offering us, you know, triple the price, quadruple the price. We do not let anyone in who's not actually from the ICP. No one's allowed to pitch, and actually we don't pitch. Like, we haven't sold a single flipping thing on any mastermind. We just give. And even the talks that we do, more time, Carl and I, we create assets and video courses that are completely free and give them away from people. Because one thing that Carl and I combine is we have a very strong abundance mindset, and we just believe that overwhelming value will champion in the end. So that's kind of been the philosophy that we've pursued with Maidman, and I think we've been able to do something unique.
And do you think Dubai helped shape that mindset, that abundance mindset? Because that's how I always describe Dubai to people, especially thinking about the small seaside town that I'm from.
Yeah.
There's so many limiting beliefs, some that I even had that I didn't even realize until coming here. It just reshaped my perception on how I do a lot of things.
Yeah.
And it's the one key word that I always relate back to Dubai is abundance. And you can use that term in many different ways, whether it be a monetary value, but you're relating it back to value. And I like that. And it's almost like the Alex Hormozy approach, where he describes it as give, get. Like, eventually you keep giving value, you keep giving information. Ultimately, it's going to come back to you. And I think that's exactly what you're saying right now. Yeah.
I think it's even like for me, and I think like for Maidman, for me, for Carl, it's even deeper than that. I think it's even like that abundance mindset is even deeper than that. It has to do, it starts sort of your values and your self-perception. Me personally, I do not value money to the point, or I do not value money more than my reputation. Integrity. In my integrity, like, I always value myself and my reputation and my integrity over money. And that's like a core thing. Like, I would feel like if I was doing an event or anything or any endeavor, and sort of in a discreet or non-transparent way, my secret objective was to make a lot of money and I don't say it, that wouldn't feel good to me. I don't think it's the best way to operate. You know, like, people like myself, we a lot of times we spend too much and we're too generous, but that's just who we are. So I think it's a lot about just that mindset originates just in your nature and how you prioritize things, I think.
Yeah, I like to say I relate to that in a lot of ways, and I always try to just be the most authentic version of myself.
Yeah.
And I feel like authenticity always wins. As long as you're 100%. Authentic and you're genuine, it will go a long way.
1,000,000%. Even making money. Like, I find it like the cringiest thing, like the thing that makes me really like cringe really badly is when someone's trying to like pretend to be friends with you, but they're actually trying to sell you something. Yeah. It's so horrible. Like, you can tell.
You can smell it.
You know? And it's like sales is very normal. And like, I think you should normalize, you know, selling transparently. Like sometimes I speak to brands and like if I'm not interested in working with them, I will not chat to them just because they're a brand. I will mug them off quite badly sometimes, frankly. But if I like them, I will tell them, I'm like, hey, like you're like, bro, like real talk, I like your case. Like I actually want to work with you. Like jump on a call with me. I want to work with you. I'll tell people that, you know. And if they come up with these like weird, like sometimes you talk to people and they're like, oh, maybe we can do a deal where you get 3.81% if this. I'm like, bro, I'm trying to do that. I'm trying to make money. I'm trying to make you money. Let's figure out how we can both make money. And I think establishing that transparency, be like, yo, I'm trying to make money with you. Let's do it. You're down. If you know your service in the back end or your product is good, you can do that. And I prefer that a lot more to that like covert sort of cringe way of doing it.
I think it's the best way. It's just being direct and upfront. You cut all the fluff. You save everyone a lot of time. It just gets
authenticity,
the job done.
man. People buy into it. People like it.
For sure.